Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our very first ever Next Level Health webinar. My name is Miranda Malasani. I'm the Director of Health and Wellness and spokesperson at Nature's Emporium and your host for this evening. Education is a core pillar at Nature's Emporium, so we thought let's create a series covering timely topics with incredible experts to help our communities to thrive. I can definitely speak on behalf of everyone at Nature's Emporium when I say we are honored and grateful to have this power panel of 4 influential men here with us tonight. And I'm going to introduce them right now. So our first panel member is Brent Bishop, celebrity fitness trainer, published author, and expert on CityLine. Brent is the founder of Think Fitness Studios in Toronto and has 25 years of experience in the fitness industry. Next up, Bryce Wild is a leading functional medicine expert and clinician at P3 Health in Toronto. He's an author of 4 best-selling books, previous host of Wild on Health and CTV, and a regular expert and medical advisor for the Dr. Oz show. Bryce offers an incredible wealth of information in this area, and you're all going to receive a copy of his newest ebook, Brain Spanners. It's amazing. Thank you, Bryce. So our third panelist is Peter Neal. Peter is one of the founders of Neal Brothers Foods. And if you've roamed the aisles of Nature's Emporium, and I know you have, you know how much we love Neal Brothers products, myself included. Peter will be here discussing his personal journey with mental health and how it's inspired him to support mental health initiatives in the community. And last, but certainly not least, we have Kevin Frankish joining us, one of Canada's most watched local TV personalities. Kevin, when I was in journalism school studying my Bachelor of Journalism, I remember watching you on TV and being like, this guy knows what he's doing. And so he is now an incredible mental health advocate. He was diagnosed with severe depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder in 2006. You've got, I know Kevin's got an amazing podcast and a live Facebook show called The Happy Molecule. You definitely want to check out. There we go. It's time to get started. Let's start with Kevin. Kevin, if you don't mind jumping in first and talking about your personal journey so far with mental health, then we'll start from there.
It goes back to 2006 when I had an incident on the air, which I call it that because I didn't know what it was. And it turns out it was a panic attack. And it scared the hell out of me. I literally left the show in the middle of the show and I went home crying. I honestly drove all the way home crying. I thought that was it. That's the end of my career. I'm never going to be able to. I honestly had the feeling I could not go back on television again. One of the first people I turned to was Bryce Wild. And, we can chat about that later on. I learned what it was to live with depression rather than suffer from depression. So I came to terms with that. So I've been a mental health advocate ever since. I like to speak out about mental health. I'm glad that we're finally starting to recognize it as being important. I've watched it over the last several years, and it's gained in importance. So I now run a platform called The Happy Molecule. So that's a podcast. It's a website. It is a blog. It is a Facebook Live show on Sunday evenings. So it's all about getting good advice and positivity out to everyone about mental health.
Thank you so much, Kevin. We're going to move on to Peter. I had the opportunity to talk with you a couple weeks ago, Peter, and hear a bit about what you've been through. And maybe you can also introduce, your story and the challenges that you've faced.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, again, big thanks to Nature's Emporium. Thanks to you. Thanks to everybody out there listening. It's not a topic that is exciting and happy and fun to talk about, but it certainly is one that is incredibly important and certainly, highlighted through what we're going through. So right now with this pandemic, I'll just quickly say, 33 years of business with my brother. And I got to age of 52 or so and had never had anything like a panic attack. For the most part, I was always hashtag happy Petey. My wife would say rainbows and unicorns. And then in 2019, in the spring, I'd been going pretty hard. We'd set up a deal with a cannabis company. We had tried to launch an alcoholic product. And then something incredibly tragic happened. One of our good friends succumbed to mental health. And it was incredibly traumatic for their family, for our family. And I remember sitting in the funeral thinking, and as I've thought about people like Anthony Bourdain in the past, how could anyone get so low? How can anyone, think that the only way out was to end their life? And it didn't make any sense to me, like it was Bryce is saying, and it doesn't until you've been in it. Suddenly, at the end of the summer, August 2019, I started to feel really down. And by the second week of September, I was into full-fledged depression. And I had no idea what it meant. I think there was a whole lot of anxiety and a bit of a breakdown. We had a daughter who'd been in all sorts of different mental health care for years. She'd just been coming back from a 2-year program at a live-in institution for help. And that wasn't looking good to me for her coming home. And she was coming home within months. The cannabis thing didn't go well. I was running from, plane to plane, from city to city. And I remember my wife saying, how do you keep doing it? How does your husband keep doing it? Like, he's just like Superman. And I thought I was I thought I was invincible. In fact, I had that conversation with my therapist yesterday. But I think what happened is I had really plugged in far too many things into the grid, and it just couldn't handle anymore. So the panel shut down, or the fuses blew, and by the end of September 2019, I didn't know which way was up, and life had gone dark. And I was suicidal for 2 weeks. I got to the point of 2 or 3 different plans that kept me up all night long as to how I would end my life. And it didn't make any sense to my friends. It didn't make any sense to my family. And it was the scariest thing I've ever been through in my life. So fortunately, I got some help through my doctor. Then that led to some therapy. I never thought I'd ever, seek therapy. That just didn't make any sense to me. I understood it and didn't judge people for it, but I didn't understand how that would ever work for me. So a number of things, fortunately, helped out. I was able to reach out and get some supports. And I started walking with my friend who had lost his wife, and the two of us started walking every single day, and we allowed each other to call each other. Didn't matter what time of night. Sometimes we went for a walk at 1 o'clock in the morning. You can imagine through the end of March with the pandemic, there's no one on Yonge Street. We'd have these long walks. This is crazy. But we helped each other. We healed each other, and we were there for each other no matter what. And what's amazing is we've created a business that we're launching in a couple of months that supports all of that. It supports men's mental health, and it's all through a pair of underwear. So the strangest ideas, or the strangest things, I think, can happen when you're out walking, connecting, sharing, and through that sharing their strength. And it was my strength, and it helped my friend, and the two of us are in a much better place, thank goodness, today.
It does take that strength and being brave to share the story and what you went through. We're going to move over to Bryce. And the only question I'm going to start with, Bryce, is what have you done for your brain today?
Before I go on with my laundry list and my typical rhetoric as it pertains to brain health, by the way, because this is how I frame it up. This is my area of expertise. This is my sort of scope in context of mental health. I want to really give Peter and Kevin uber kudos, right, for not just opening up their own stories and sharing. And I alluded to earlier that I personally, myself, in this body, have not had experience with, severe mental disease or depression. But I come from a family where my father had bipolar. 2 of my uncles had schizophrenia. One of my first cousins committed suicide. And it gets, broader. So mental health riddles my family. And so I'm actually kind of lucky that I never had an issue and continue not to have an issue. But my mind, my brain, my logic is always on the alert, doing everything that I can possibly do. So to your point, Miranda, shameless plug, I just wrote the book, and this is the question I've had for everyone else. What have you done for your brain today? And of course, where brain spanners is a playoff on health span, which is not just how long you live on this planet, which is lifespan. Brain span is how long you live with the most optimal brain possible. And that includes mental health and wellness. One of my interviews was Brent Bishop, because his whole idea, and you hear this for him momentarily, is think fitness. It's not just how you work out and build stronger muscles and body. You have to live it, breathe it, and think it. And when we have mental disease, or our mental health is skewed, it's very hard to just tell somebody, think better or think well or be positive. As Kevin and Peter, you've just heard from it. Here's what I've learned, not from school, but directly from my patients. What not to say. And Peter, Kevin, please weigh in, because you guys are the inherent experts. You've lived it. But I've learned this. Just remember, advice is not the same as asking for help. If somebody asks for your advice, give it if you so choose, but don't offer them helpful solutions or statements that seem like a cure for their depression, because this ultimately can feel very judgmental or even non-empathetic. So my patients have come back to me over the years and said, and they've said, don't say to me, just think happy thoughts, or just meditate, or just get your act together, or just eat well. I don't understand what you have to be so sad about. Everything will be okay, I promise. I cut out sugar and I was cured. You should try that. Or you just need to snap out of this, or perhaps even so many people out there are worse off than you. Those are my top lists of things not to say. And I've learned that from my patients over the years, and I just wanted to share that. Peter, Kevin, agree?
Oh, totally agree. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's funny because I live with my wife and 3 daughters, and my wife would always say, Peter, just listen. I said, I am listening, but I'm trying to save you too. It's like, don't stop rescuing, stop trying to help. Just listen.
Remember the terms. What's going on? What did that feel like? What do you want to do? And I'm here. Earlier there was someone, what can you do for someone who was, I want to go back and just see the exact wording of that. How can you help a loved one that is silent with their pain, long silences, not answering the phone, etc.? You know what? You can only do what you can do. You do your best. Don't give up. And I know Peter said that too. It's so important, because you know what? Just as frustrated as you might be with someone else, they're 10 times more frustrated with it. They want it to end. They don't know what to do. And you know what? They may get mad at you. They may ignore you. So the best thing you can do in that case is just say, I'm here.
Brent, fitness. How is fitness so important when it comes to mental health? Like, what are the positive ways, and how can we use it right now in terms of coping during these times of isolation?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to say thank you so much for, everybody on the panel, but Kevin and Peter, a lot of things I really relate to. My big issue with, I know people who have experienced depression and are experiencing depression, and the whole how do you approach it has been a struggle for me. And the only way I know how is through fitness, because it works. And I want to expand that. And so thank you guys for inspiring that within me. I've been in this industry for, as you said, 25 years, dating myself, but I've seen the power of physical activity over and over and over again, and what it does for people, not just physically, but obviously psychologically, mentally. Complete overhaul of personalities, of mood, of self-image, everything. So it's really amazing. And now, we're in a stage with over, 300 million plus people worldwide suffering from depression. We got, suicide rates skyrocketing, all these things. People are feeling very discouraged with all the shutdowns and all of this. And I believe the number one drug that can help manage at least some of this is exercise. And it's something that's available to all of us. So, my purpose is to share that with everybody. And this pandemic has scared the hell out of me, business-wise too. And I like Bryce, I haven't suffered from depression, but I've come the closest over the last couple of years of just, some real ups and downs, but I've always fallen back on what I feel is my purpose, and it's helping people through fitness. I know people are stuck, and I know people have a problem getting started. And I want people to put this in their mind that you got to start small, whether it's 10 minutes, like the thing that I just did, the workout that I just did, 5-10 minutes of activity, a few days a week. It's going to create momentum by doing it. You will feel a benefit as you go forward. And don't worry about the intensity. Don't worry about the focus. Don't worry about the amount of time. Remember that it's part of the process of developing a habit for regular exercise. And that's going to help you mentally long-term.
We have about 6,000 thoughts every day. Studies have shown that out of those 6,000 thoughts, 85% are negative thoughts. Out of all of our thoughts a day, 85% are negative. Out of those 85% of negative thoughts, and this was done, I believe, by Cornell University. Out of those, 95% of the negative, worries never happen. So in other words, we spend most of our day in negativity. Whatever you can do to bring yourself into positivity and bring yourself into the, and wait for it, bring yourself into the moment, you will be doing a world of good. When you're stressed and you're feeling anxiety, you do something that's called box breathing. And what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in through your nose. And as you breathe in through your nose, you're going to do it for 4 seconds. You're going to realize just how fresh and clean that air is. And you're going to feel it cool coming in through your nose and into your lungs. Then you're going to hold it. Now, it's important that you hold it for 4 seconds because you're telling the parasympathetic nervous system, I'm taking over here. Okay, so do you want to just sit this one out? I need to slow the heart rate down. Okay, fair enough. Then you're going to let it out through your mouth for 4 seconds. And as you do, you're going to imagine that you're picking up little pieces of the stress and anxiety inside your body, and you're letting it out through your mouth. And you're going to hold it for another 4 seconds for the same reason. So we're all going to try that right now. We're going to try box breathing. All right. So remember, it's 4, 4, 4, and 4. In through your nose, hold it, out through your mouth, hold it. Okay. So we're going to try it for about a minute. All right. So
I think we have about 10 seconds.
Oh, okay. Let's do one.
Okay.
Let's
and
do,
then we're going to have some questions.
let's do one. Let's do one then, just so you get the idea. So in through your nose and count 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to hold it now for 3, 4. And out through your mouth, letting some of the anxiety and the stress go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're going to repeat this for 2 or 3 minutes. And you're going to do it several times a day. I guarantee you will feel better afterwards.